is Valley News Live at 4.
We've asked much of you. We followed the science. We tried to strike a proper balance. We have tried the best to get this right with the intention of saving lives, preserving hospital capacity, and striking the proper balance to understand how incredibly challenging this has been.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz says the state's COVID restrictions will come to an end in the coming weeks, with the mask mandate expiring no later than July 1st. Good afternoon, everyone. Governor Walz just announced a three-step timeline to end those pandemic restrictions. Step 1 goes into effect at noon tomorrow. It ends the mask requirement outdoors, except at large events. And Minnesota bars can now stay open as late as they like. The second begins May 28th. Capacity and distancing limits will come to an end, including for indoor events and gatherings. And as for Step 3, that could come at any time. The governor says the state's mask mandate will end on July 1st. But if 70% of Minnesotans get vaccinated, it could end earlier. COVID cases are on the decline in Minnesota, and hospitals are seeing fewer admissions as more and more people get vaccinated. We were the first to tell you about a woman who crashed her ex-boyfriend's funeral last weekend, and now his family is speaking out. 28-year-old Blair Witten is charged with a single count of reckless endangerment after funeral attendees say she drove her car over multiple grave sites and even tried to hit someone. It happened at Riverside Cemetery in Fargo on Saturday. Witten told officers she was attending the funeral and was threatened by other guests, but the family of the deceased says she wasn't invited. We'll have that family's emotional story tonight on Valley News Live at 6. The man accused of killing a 24-year-old taxi driver in Moorhead yesterday morning has yet to be formally charged. 18-year-old Willie Sparkman of Fargo was arrested last night for armed robbery, aggravated robbery, and second-degree unintentional murder. Police believe he's also responsible for 2 armed robberies that happened early Wednesday morning in Fargo. We spoke to Moorhead's police chief about yesterday's tragic killing.
It's really kind of a foolish crime, and something where, in this case, somebody lost their life, and it's just not worth it.
Police have identified the driver as Abdullahi Abdullahi. His family says he had only become a taxi driver 6 weeks ago as a way to start saving money to go to school. Now here's Hutch with a first look at your forecast. Hutch.
Stacy, thanks so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Heading into your evening, sky is just to the north of the FM area darkening, as we do have some passing sprinkles working their way in. Not all of us will see raindrops, but be prepared. Have that umbrella on hand. Nonetheless, as we take a look at that radar, we are seeing some of the heaviest showers moving northwest to southeast right now at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. Most of the green you see from Lidgerwood through Breckenridge not reaching the ground. Pelican Rapids to Fergus Falls, maybe a couple of sprinkles is all. But north of Fargo, we see some dark greens and yellows. Those showers are likely working their way down to the ground, wetting the sidewalks of Highway 9 near Ada. And a passing shower will be pushing from Page and Hope toward the FM area in the upcoming hour to hour and a half, with some showers heading into Lakes Country this evening as well. It's clearing up north, and some of the coldest air is located there. 50s in the northwest quadrant of Minnesota, with 60s to the south. It's gusty for most of us, and it's going to remain gusty as we go through the evening, with gusts over 40 miles per hour clocked this hour in Jamestown. Temperatures in the 60s for the next couple of hours. We'll have passing sprinkles in Fargo or the FM area. The wind and clouds and showers all exit this evening. I'll have details on a chilly start to your Friday, but some fantastic news for the forecast on Mother's Day weekend. I'll have details in a moment.
All right. Thanks so much, Hutch. We have an update for you on a story we've been following this week. A Wahpeton Elementary School parent reached out to us saying students were made to reenact George Floyd's arrest and death. The superintendent tells us they've completed their investigation into the incident, and they expect to release their findings today or tomorrow. The superintendent also says he wants to be as transparent as possible in this matter. Stick with Valley News Live as we follow this story. The FDA is likely to authorize the use of Pfizer's COVID vaccine for use in adolescents as early as next week. However, a Kaiser Family Foundation poll suggests parents may not be enthusiastic about getting their children vaccinated. Less than a third of parents of children ages 12 to 15 say they will get their child vaccinated immediately after a vaccine is authorized. 26% will wait a while to see how it's working, and 18% will only do it if their school requires it. Less than a quarter said they definitely will not get them vaccinated. Again, Governor Walz says Minnesota's mask mandate could end early if 70% of adults are vaccinated. We spoke to Clay County health officials to see where they're at on the road to herd immunity. They say nearly 40% of the population has received the first dose, and nearly a third have completed the series. You can see how many doses have been given out to each age group on your screen. Health officials say one of the biggest barriers to getting shots into arms is misinformation, including one misconception going around saying the vaccine will alter your DNA.
It's interesting, we get kind of over and over. There's one in here about that the vaccine alters the DNA of an individual. We hear that a lot. Truly a myth. There's no way possible biologically it can affect your DNA.
If you are looking for options to get the vaccine, use our VNL vaccine tracker. It's on the homepage of our website, or you can open your phone camera and point it at the QR code on your screen, then tap the link that pops up. President Biden is back on the road to continue pitching his $2 trillion infrastructure proposal, the American Jobs Plan. Negotiations are expected to pick up steam next week in Washington when Congress returns from recess. As Natalie Brand reports, in the meantime, the president is taking his message to the public.
Traveling to the red state of Louisiana, President Biden made a push for his massive infrastructure proposal using the backdrop of a bridge that's past its prime.
These are the highest values investments you can make as a nation, and they last the longest.
After receiving a poor inspection rating, the I-10 Calcasieu River Bridge is undergoing a replacement project, paid for in part through tolls. The president argues his plan would help with a $115 billion funding increase proposed to modernize bridges and roads.
This state is working to rebuild the I-10 bridge, but we can put America to work in every state, fixing roads and bridges that are in desperate need of repair.
The president's proposal also allocates more than $100 billion for water infrastructure, which he plans to highlight later at a New Orleans water plant.
Louisiana is the fourth state the president has visited over the span of a week as part of his Getting America Back on Track tour to sell his jobs and families plan, as well as the proposed tax hike to pay for them.
This is all about making a choice between giving tax breaks to super wealthy and to corporations and investing in working families.
Congressional Republicans say undoing the Trump-era tax cuts are a non-starter, but they're open to compromise on an infrastructure bill.
We've laid out about a $600 billion alternative, so we'll see whether we can reach an agreement.
An agreement Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell will likely discuss next week when he and other top congressional leaders meet with President Biden. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
In today's remarks, the president also said he plans to have more meetings with Republican lawmakers in the coming days. He added he's willing to compromise on an infrastructure bill, but inaction is not an option. The job market continues to improve as more restrictions are lifted across the country. First-time claims for unemployment totaled 498,000 last week. That's better than analysts expected. While the jobs market has a long way to go before it gets back to pre-pandemic levels, improvement is coming as many Americans are in the early stages of getting back to some kind of normalcy. Twitter asks users to think twice, at least, before posting that mean tweet. This prompt now appears when the app detects insults, strong language, or hateful remarks, asking users to pause and reconsider if they truly want to send that tweet for all the Twitterverse to see. Twitter says in testing, people decided not to tweet their mean thoughts about a third of the time, either deleting their message or revising it. They also say the algorithms consider the relationship between the tweeter and the target, taking into account that the two accounts may generally interact by bantering or trading insults.
And it's going at 17,500 miles per hour, so even the smallest little change will cause it to deviate.
Coming up, space experts on high alert trying to figure out where a piece of debris is about to fall.
And we're tracking a few showers working their way from north to south through the region tonight. We'll have an update on a fabulous Friday, and we'll look ahead towards Mother's Day weekend. All that coming up right after this.